This is shocking, horrendous, humiliating. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, was outdebated and virtually kicked out of the White House by the president and vice president of the United States. This will go down in history as one of the most undiplomatic moments in international relations. I covered the White House for 6 years in Washington, attended countless bilateral summits. I've never seen anything like this. Here are my 4 quick takeaways. Number 1, the United States politicians cannot be trusted. Joe Biden pledged unwavering support for Ukraine, remember? He called it a fight for democracy. He promised weapons, funding, and solidarity, but Trump, a complete reversal. He walked away from all those promises in a single Oval Office meeting and treated Zelenskyy in a paternalistic manner. J.D. Vance even scolded Zelenskyy in front of the U.S. media for his solidarity with the previous Biden administration. This is domestic politics hijacking foreign policy. Can the U.S. still be trusted? Can nations turn to America for principled support based on values? No. For those politicians in Taiwan who want to seek secession and are dreaming about unwavering support from Washington, think again. From a pawn to a dished pawn of the United States, the change can happen real fast. And by the way, this wasn't a fair fight. 2 against 1 on Americans' home turf using the host language, English. Try Ukrainian next time. Number 2, the Zelenskyy episode proves that the United States is a bully, a hegemon, self-interested and self-centered. U.S. foreign policy may talk about values all the time, but it's so often about interests. Remember when Trump unilaterally walked away from JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal? Or when the U.S. promised Afghanistan nation building only to leave it in total ruins? Or when the U.S. encouraged the Cuban exiles to invade the Bay of Pigs to kill Fidel Castro, only to withdraw support at the most critical moment? Or when they promised South Vietnam unwavering support only to abandon it in 1975? The U.S. promised one thing and did another, leaving foreign regimes and governments high and dry. We've seen that over and over again. Number 3, many sympathize with Zelensky's treatment, but you have to deal with the United States from a position of strength. As the old Chinese saying goes, 弱国无外交. Weak nations have no diplomacy. There's a sense to it, right? Ukraine, a great nation, by the way, great people, has no nuclear deterrence against the United States, no key technologies that the U.S. craves for, no intertwined trade or investment ties. It has little leverage. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians and Russians have died in this war, but do politicians even care? Zelenskyy and Trump were about to sign a security agreement, but according to leaked drafts, the agreement is about dividing Ukraine and extracting its minerals. Not a single mention of how the United States will actually provide security guarantee to Ukraine. And the funny thing is, the U.S. aid to Ukraine since the war is about $175 billion, but Trump is demanding $500 billion worth of Ukraine's mineral resources. Did people forget how to do math? Or did they never know? Because this is modern-day robbery. Number 4, where is Europe in all this? Or let me be clearer, where is NATO? Because Europe is not NATO. NATO doesn't represent all good, hardworking European citizens. No. NATO is a satellite military organization through which the U.S. poses strengths. So let's ask, now looking at how the Ukraine president was humiliated by the U.S. president, where Europe has done little about so far, were NATO's 5 expansions worth it? Was it worth it to promise Russia no expansion and push all the way to its borders? In 2007 at Munich Security Conference, Vladimir Putin explicitly said Russia was ready to join the European family, but the U.S. and its military-industrial complex said no. Now perhaps it's time the Europeans not just talked about, but operationalized its strategic autonomy. Strategic autonomy. After all, Britain and France are 2 great nuclear powers, with Germany being an economic heavyweight. Together with other European countries, the Europeans can make their own future-oriented decisions, not ones rooted in the architecture of the Cold War days. The Zelenskyy episode is a wake-up call. The world is changing, and under Trump, it's changing faster and more unpredictable than ever.